Okay, let's get more. Kwang Wei is Director of Strategy at Parker Fitzgerald and joins us. Always a pleasure to see you, Kwang, and a familiar face, of course. So look, I'm just trying to get my head around this because all these big Chinese tech giants will be at the show. Particularly, of course, as I mentioned, Huawei, ZTE, they're the ones under the spotlight from Washington. But will it make any difference? Yes, they'll show off their wares, but it's not going to appease the worries that the US and some in the West have over them.
I think what's quite interesting is actually the Mobile World Congress and the G20 happening around the same time and about an easy flight away. So I think that actually points to an interesting coincidence, and actually the fact that we really cannot separate tech war with trade war nowadays, because it is about the US and China, the two largest economies, positioning for the next phase of the global economy, and that is digital.
Yeah, indeed. And you just said, and everybody goes, this is a battle between China and the US. But if you look at technology, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, they're the biggest losers in Asia over this battle, right? Because they supply China.
Yeah, I think the issue is, the global technology ecosystem, as it were, has been developing quite organically over the past 2 decades, and that is in form of supply chain, but also in terms of division of labor across countries and companies. So what is happening now is the supply chain will likely to shift as a result of the continued tension between US and China, and that is likely to be a short to medium term impact. The very near term, there might be impact on the global financial market in terms of stock prices, if you think about the amount of large technology companies on it. But in the longer term, and the more profound implication is about, so when this ecosystem break, everyone will lose out.
Okay, let me talk about losing out. I want to ask you this. In the last 3 rounds of the Trump tariffs, Chinese products that were made directly to be sold to the American consumer, they've been left off the list, or at least been given a last-minute reprieve. But many now in the industry think the hammer is going to fall, and they say one of the biggest losers will be the American, like Apple, as a big loser.
The remaining 300 billion of Chinese export, more than half of that will be related to the technology sector. So the US consumer will suffer, and in some sense, certain parts can only really be produced rather effectively in China, and that is the concentration of skills and technology as a part of that ecosystem. And I think what's really quite worrying is if we do break that, then what about the global data flow? What about the compatibility of next generation digital infrastructure? And what about protocols and standards of the digital economy? Huawei already is involved in about 2/3 of the 5G launches globally. So if we're seeing, I guess, balkanization of the technology and balkanization of digital economy, and it's not just financial market, technology firms that suffer, it is everyone that want to rely on AI, 5G, quantum computing for innovation and for efficiency.
Kwang Wei, always a pleasure. We've got more questions and answers still, but we'll no doubt speak to you again.